Hello, and welcome to our series on self marriage. I'm here with Kyisha Williams from Toronto, and she's going to be talking with us about her self marriage. Thanks for being here, Kyisha.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And let's start with the question of what self marriage means to you.
hmm Self-marriage basically means the same things as marriage, to me, in terms of not so much the legal contract, but just in terms of the reminder to be in love and to live in love, to think of myself as a partner, to think about my needs, and to treat myself as I would treat someone that I loved dearly and wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
Hmm, that's gorgeous. And how did you decide to marry yourself?
Um, so it came around, like the idea came around first, and I kind of dismissed it. Like I was like, oh, what if I marry myself? I was like, ah, no one would come. Like, don't bother. And just kind of, I guess, like a nervousness that other people would have judgments about it and think that I was like a narcissist or self-obsessed. Just that it wasn't necessary. But eventually I spoke myself out of that because I think for me, especially to declare love to myself is just a really important thing. And in my opinion, a revolutionary thing because I get so many messages in the world that tell me not to love myself and that I need to work harder, that I need to be better. And I just thought, like, what would it be like to love myself right here, right now? And to just go against that kind of like messaging that I'm not supposed to value myself as much as others, and I'm supposed to put others first, and things like this. I just felt like, yeah, for me, especially like as a Black femme, that it was really important for me to, put myself first or to choose myself before anyone else. And I knew that in order to keep myself alive, that I would need to prioritize myself and my being. And yeah, I felt like a self marriage was just a really great way to put that out into the universe, like to make that real, and to, yeah, commit to myself in front of myself and others.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I think it's very relatable. The idea of self marriage is still pretty new, all things considered, even though it's been around for decades. Really, maybe in the last 5 years, we've started hearing more about it.
Yeah.
Was oftentimes I hear people say, like, this event happened and I decided to marry myself. It sounds like for you, it was more of a buildup. Were
Yeah.
there like key moments or lessons or people that helped lock in the possibility of you doing it?
Hmm. Good question. I think, yeah, so for me, it was really self-reflection that got me there, therapy that
Nice.
got me there, just like really getting clear about what I wanted and what messages were like constantly in my mind. And one of them was, you got to get married, and
Mm,
you are only valuable if somebody else loves you. And there were all these messages that I began decoding through, work on myself. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that that's true. I still loved the idea of marriage, but I knew that I needed to start living in a different way, without like that desire, first and foremost in my mind. And so I was like, I don't actually like, I do love marriage and I do want to get married, but I don't actually think I need anyone else to do
mm.
that. And so, yes, I'm open to, another marriage to another person. But I knew that I needed to start with me, and that the only way I was going to be able to know like what I needed and wanted, through like from someone else, was to get really, really clear about that for me. And I felt like, self-marriage was a really good way to, just mark that journey and be able to kind of put that away in my head. Like, you did get married, you are married. Now let's focus on other things. And, if that person comes, then that's cool. And you'll have a very sophisticated language around how you love and enjoy being loved.
So good. Yeah, I love that. So it was really doing your own work over time, your
Yeah.
own inner work through therapy, personal development, and the seed had been planted and it just kind of always stayed until one day you decided to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And you proposed to yourself. How did you do it?
I did. It was fun. Nice. It was on my birthday in 2014, I believe. So essentially, I mean, I like to do nice things for myself on my birthday in general. And so I did like any other year. But this year I didn't buy myself an engagement ring, but I used a ring that my grandmother gave to me. So my grandmother has this really beautiful practice of buying jewelry and then saving it for her grandkids. And then she presents them when we're ready to receive them. And so she had given me this beautiful ring when I was old enough to take care of it. And I ended up like putting it away and not wearing it, just I guess as she had, just like protecting it. And I came across the ring one day close to my birthday and was just like, you know what, like this is the ring, this is the time. So yeah, it was great. I took myself out to some water because I love water. So just, yeah, went and sat by the water and spoke to myself, had a nice like snack set up and journal set up. And yeah, I asked myself to marry myself and I said yes. And I also posted about my engagement on social media. So that kind of made it a little more real, which was cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What is the ring that your grandmother gave you? What's it look like?
It's a gold ring and it has a little diamond on it. I actually don't wear it anymore. Just nervous about losing it, I guess.
Yes.
And also hoping to pass it down to my child.
Mm.
But I did once I got married, I bought myself a marriage ring, which is gold. I ended up losing it, which is really sad. In Barbados, it was on a trip, so I mean, I was in Barbados, so that's nice. Um, but yeah, I lost it or it was taken, not sure. And so, yeah, I bought myself another one sometime later, but it was also kind of a nice, like, oh, maybe I should do this regularly. Like maybe I should buy myself a new ring every few years or whatever. So yeah,
Nice.
right now I'm wearing three. They're like a set that comes together from a really beautiful Black owned jewelry shop.
Mm.
And yeah, I just kind of have it there to remind me of my commitment.
And your birthday, the day you proposed to yourself, was November 3rd. And then you married yourself on the 3rd of January. And now you have a self-love ritual on the 3rd of every month, which is brilliant. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to take it up a notch, I guess. I know that people usually do anniversaries, and I was like, okay, great, but I need my reminder to be more constant and more consistent. And so, yeah, that's when I thought, okay, well, I'm celebrating the 3rd of November and the 3rd of January. Why not just celebrate every month? And I do like bigger things on my birthday in January as well. But every month I try to do something for myself, whether it's like a gift or a nice walk, where I'm thinking about what I need and what I love, and
Mm.
just treating myself to a moment. I think that's especially important as moms as well. I've learned that, those moments for myself are very, very important. And yeah, so sometimes it's like dinner, sometimes it's a trip, sometimes it's a card, or like a letter to myself. There's a lot of different ways that I acknowledge the third of the month. Sometimes it's just taking a break. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go light on work today, because I deserve that, and because rest is important, and that is one of the ways that I show myself love. So yeah, it depends on the month, but I do really try to make sure that the third of every month I am doing something for me, that feeds me, and just reminds me of the commitment that I have to myself.
Yeah, I think that, like most things, one-off experiences are wonderful, memorable, they can be transformative, and to really integrate what we learn, it's important to revisit. So I
Mhm.
think it's so cool that you have a specific day of the month that you do that. It's extremely clever. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about the wedding day itself and especially what you did to delegate. So, one of your best friends was your wedding planner. What inspired you to delegate that to her?
So I knew that I wanted to, like, if I was going to have a self marriage, I didn't want it to just be like, okay, cool, I'm marrying myself, whatever, no big deal. I wanted to actually, like dedicate the time and energy that it would take to plan a wedding. So I didn't pay her. She did it volunteer, um, because wedding planners, I'm learning, are very expensive. But yeah, she just was there to help me flesh things out. So asking questions like, do you want to have this? What would you like this to look like? And it was just really helpful to let me think, like allow me to think bigger,
Hmm.
because I still had that kind of voice in my head, like, no one's going to come. Why are you doing this? And so it was really important and valuable for my friend to be like, no, actually, like this deserves planning, and we're going to do this great. And, it was very like homey and close people, but it was also very important. And so I wanted to make sure that it felt that way.
Yes.
Mhm.
I talk about in the book Self Marriage, choosing your people carefully.
Mm,
What are the characteristics of your best friend that allowed you to trust that she would hold your vision and encourage you?
mm. Good question. Um, I hmm, I know that she had been supportive up until that point. So she was the person who actually introduced me to Danette Relic, and she kind of knew I was on the self-marriage journey through posts and stuff, and connected, and then was able to support me like very practically through the process. And so when I did decide to get married and what that was going to look like, it just made total sense for her to be involved, because she had already kind of shown her support for what I was thinking of doing. And yeah, my other folks who were there were longtime friends. So one of my friends who was there, our moms went to prenatal class together. We were friends when we were babies, and then we lost touch, but became friends again in the seventh grade when we went to the same school randomly. So, it was like folks who had been in my life for a long time, who had seen me through a lot of things. Another friend, we had been friends since high school. And yeah, so it was just folks who really like intimately know me and know me, I guess, kind of like as different iterations, you know? And so it felt that much more important that they were seeing me in this moment. Having seen me in a lot of other moments, like some messy, some not, you know? So that was really, yeah, helpful. I'm laughing because one of my friends, the friend I was speaking about, who I was friends with from grade 7 on, we used to like fight about queerness. Like I was like, it's wrong and against the Bible and blah blah blah. And then I think like a year later, I was like, so I'm queer. And then about 6 years later, she was like, so I'm queer. So yeah, it's just very funny.
So
Very
it really sounds like these are people that had known you, you had longevity with them, there was
yeah.
loyalty in place, like they'd already seen you through challenges in your life, so you just, it sounds like you trusted that they would show up for you.
For sure. Yeah.
Cool. Will you show us some pictures of the wedding day?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. I'm sure I can. I wanted to make it bigger though. Can I do that? Yeah, there we go.
Mm.
So this is right after my marriage.
Loved that caption, the happy couple.
Yeah. This is me and some of my besties. This is the person who planned the wedding. And this is part of the ceremony. So I had some fruit and other items laid out for my ancestors and guides to kind of be there with me in that moment as well. And oh, I guess it's a mini album.
Yeah.
I just shared those three with the world, I suppose.
Well, pull
But
up that picture again of you with the fruit and the candle.
mhm.
And tell us a little bit more about this detail. Like, were the fruits chosen for a specific reason? Were there specific ancestors you wanted to include?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the like what I put on the table was specific to what I know of my lineage and the things that they like, and the things that you know made them happy on this side as well. So I'm lucky enough to know to have known some of my recent ancestors. So when they were on the planet and we were spending time together, I knew the things that they liked. And so I incorporated some of those things. And yeah, just generally my the spirituality that I'm learning about and practicing is called Ifa, which is a traditional West African spirituality, or came from there, and came across the Atlantic through slavery and all kinds of and kind of split off into all kinds of different spiritualities and religions. And so, yeah, it was very important for me to incorporate my spiritual, I guess, like knowledge and presence in the wedding itself, because weddings are rituals also. So I wanted to make sure that I incorporated my people both on the planet and off the planet as well.
Yes. And I see watermelon. What else? What else did you have out there?
Watermelon, mango, pomegranate, oranges,
Mhm.
lots of things. Yeah. And I had the mirror there on the table as well. That's the mirror that I
Ah,
was
yeah.
holding up afterwards. So when I was saying my vows, I was looking into that mirror on the table. And yeah, it was a great time. There's lots of candles and other things that we use in ceremony.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And while your self marriage was obviously focused on you, you
Yep.
also invited your friends to make commitments to themselves that day.
Mhm.
How did they respond to that invitation?
Really well. I think it was probably nice. I'm speculating because I'm not them,
Uh,
but I think like when you go to a wedding, in my experience, it's it's a really nice moment for the people who you're going to the wedding of, but it's not necessarily about you. Although I'm always like, I mean, ever since marrying myself, every time I'm at a wedding, I'm making more commitments to myself. I'm thinking about love in the context of the people who are getting married, but also in terms of myself. So I wanted to make sure that I could incorporate those pieces in my own marriage, where people were able to come and celebrate me and my love, but also to bring it back to themselves and the things that they want for themselves. So maybe it's not a huge marriage, but I think that, everybody who well, I was going to say everybody who's healthy. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just never a good way to start a sentence. Because yeah, people get left out. But yeah, I feel like it's valuable for most, if not all people, to think about love for themselves, and how they want to be loved, and the ways in which they can like provide certain things for themselves. I don't think that everything can be provided by self. And I think, sometimes when people are like, oh, like take a self-care day, I'm like, okay, well, that's not necessarily what I need. I need community. I need, a lot of different things. But I do think that there is a lot of value in reflecting on that,
Yes. One of the places where those reflections become manifest is in the vows. Do you have your vows? Would you be willing to read them to us?
I don't have them right now, but if I can find them, I would love to share them with you. I would also love to
Yeah.
revisit them.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for that question.
Do you remember some of the commitments you made to yourself that day?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. One of the like key commitments that I made to myself, and that's also based on like my life and childhood, having experienced violence. I just promised myself that that if I recognized that in my relationships, that I would leave. That I would not accept that kind of treatment from anyone, including myself. So yeah, I made a commitment to be really gentle and loving and healthy in my love with myself. So I don't talk down to myself. If I do, I intervene, I just feel like I really need to be treating myself as well as someone that I'm in love with outside of myself, And so, yeah, that was a major commitment, was just to not to leave if I was in situations that were unsafe or that I didn't feel good and healthy in. I also made a commitment to always choose me. So yeah, like I'm not choosing myself over anyone. And even in the context of motherhood, like I know that I have to be good in order to be good for my family, for my kid. And so, yeah, like I am gonna put me first in those moments. Not that it's like a competition, because I don't think that it is. I just know that I have anything to give because I'm giving to myself and making sure I have the things I need. So yeah, like sometimes it's like I need 5 minutes and my kid has to amuse themselves for 5 minutes. Because yeah, it is always important for me to be good. And I know that like that's gonna be what has me be good for everyone else, if that makes sense.
Yes. Since your self-marriage, do you self-date to keep the flame alive? And if so, what do you like to do?
Yeah, I definitely self date. Not as well as I would like to be honest, because I really would love to just like, be able to get in a car and drive somewhere and camp for a while or whatever. Still working out the driving business, but anyway. Yeah, I do self date. It's funny because a lot of the times when I'm out, folks will ask me like, "Oh, who'd you come with?" And my answer is usually me. I don't really, I mean, not that I'm opposed to it, but I just don't really go out with folks necessarily. Like, but what I think it is more than that is that I don't like the fact that it's just me going somewhere doesn't prevent me from going.
Hmm.
And I think some folks are like, oh, I wanted to go to this thing, but I don't have anyone to go with, so I'm not going to go. And that is rarely the case for me. It's usually just like, yeah, okay, I want to go to that event, and I roll up, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and it's interesting to have folks ask me like who I came with, because I don't know, like sometimes it just doesn't even occur to me to
Uh-huh.
ask someone else to
Huh.
come,
Nice.
yeah. And I think I also, I'm like, oh, I'll see people I know when I
Mhm.
get there kind of thing. But yeah, I, I do date. I do like, just sometimes take myself out for dinner. I, just yeah, I don't know, I do fun things. I just got a Canada's Wonderland pass, and I'm sure I will take my child, but I'm definitely planning to just go me and not have to answer to anyone,
Yep. And what
or
is it? Is it like an amusement park or what is
oh yes, yes,
uh,
yes, Canada's Wonderland is an amusement park. Yeah, it's like it has rides and roller
yeah,
coasters and things like this. Yeah.
fun.
I guess it's similar to like Six Flags or Six Flags
Yes.
is American, right?
American. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, similar to that.
Well, the last question I wanna ask you is around your child, and how you will discuss self-marriage with him
Hmm.
or her. Like, is this something you'll bring up? Is it something you'll offer as an option? How do you imagine that conversation will go?
Hmm. That's a really good question. Um, I mean, we're definitely still like chatting about marriage in general, and it's so sweet. Like my kid just like doesn't fully understand the concept, but like in the ways that they do, it's just so beautiful. But anyway, so yeah, like a few times we've gone to weddings together. There was actually two in August, and my kid keeps being like, oh, like mommy, I want to marry you. And I'm
Aw.
like, ah, so sweet. I'm like, well, we can't actually get married. Like, that's not really how it works. Like, you'll probably want to marry someone your own age. And they're just like, well, like I want to marry you. Maybe when I get older, I can marry you. And like, it's just very sweet. Um, and I want to have like age appropriate conversations about that.
Yes.
So we're just leaving it at like probably not me and probably somebody else that, you
Uh-huh.
know, um, but like I still want her to know that I will be there forever,
Mhm.
and that I will love them forever. And so that's usually what I say, like, well, like we can't get married, but we'll be together forever, and I love you forever, and these types of things. Yeah, I just feel like it's pretty cute and heart melty.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I will for sure have conversations around loving, well, we do have conversations already around like loving yourself. um I think that it will kind of graduate to more sophisticated conversations about self-love. I think probably similar to our conversations around gender and sexuality. Like, I'm
Mhm.
like, you can be anything, and there's lots of options. And so, yeah, like you can be, what is it? A dinosaur princess, or a girl, or a boy, or something else, you know. And so, like, that's what they say their gender is, by the way.
A
Dinosaur.
dinosaur princess?
Yeah.
So
I'm like,
good. Love
great. That's awesome. I'll let people know because
it.
they keep asking. But yeah, I feel like that conversation will, yeah, be similar to those. Like, there are lots of options, and like you're not only worthy when someone else loves you, and when you have someone else's ring on your finger or whatever, like that there's lots of ways to be in relationship. Like, you know, we'll probably have the poly conversation at some point, you know, like there's all these conversations that will happen as my kid gets older and understands these things. But for now they're 4, and you know, we're just going to keep it simple.
Nice.
And yeah, so at this point it's I love myself, and these are the reasons why. And yeah, just like providing, I think my job is just to provide all the options, like let them know what's possible. And yeah, like let them live their life from there, you know.
Beautiful. Well, Kyisha, thank you so much for sharing about your self marriage and sharing the wisdom from your views of it. It's been such a pleasure to get to chat with you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for asking. I really love talking about this particular topic. So, yeah, it's great. And I just feel like the more folks that are committing to themselves, I think the happier and healthier our world will be.
Absolutely.